from. So it's my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome all of you to yet another in the series of webinar from the Association of Pakistani Physicians in North America, or APPNA MERIT subcommittee. MERIT is the Medical Education, Research, International Training, and Transfer of Technology subcommittee. And we hold these seminars or webinars rather every 2 weeks and invite various leading experts in clinical research around the world in who are from Pakistani origin, and we have done number of those. And as an introduction and sort of the framework of this webinar, my name is Sarfraz Hasni. I'm a rheumatologist by training and clinically do clinical research and head of the clinical research at the Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. And we have our panelists, Syed Dr. Uzair Ghani and Dr. Umar Hayat, and we're also joined by Dr. Mohammad Akhtar Hamid, who's the Associate Professor of Pediatrics at University of Toronto. And today, before I go on introducing our speaker, just a disclaimer that these webinars are about promoting science and promoting clinical research and interaction and creating a platform and creating an area where people can learn about what is available and also interact. But APNA does not endorse or does not promote any commercial entity, even though we do invite people from various commercial entities, but it's just to um, in just to promote the knowledge and expertise through the platform, not to promote any special commercial entity. So with this disclaimer, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Mohammad Zubair Qureshi, who's the founder and CEO of HiveWorx, who's a technology practitioner, entrepreneur, and a leading digital health transformation and innovation thought leader. He has about 20 plus years of global cross-section experience in IT, and he has extensive consulting and advisory experience for several Fortune 500 clients in public and private sectors. He established distinct practices and transformed organization with his unique consultative prowess in product development and research. And he has pursued his entrepreneurship with vision and founded a technology startup which developed high-end products designed to address some niche healthcare areas with a focus on digital transformation and AI. So he has a long list of accomplishments, but I'm sure you're all waiting to hear from Dr. Zubair Qureshi or Mohammad Zubair Qureshi. So without further ado, I will. So one more thing is that if you have any question and answers, there's a Q&A window or a chat that is at the very bottom of the screen. Please put your questions there, and we will try to get to your questions as much as possible. So without further ado, again, thank you so much, Mohammad Zubair Qureshi, for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us and inform us about your accomplishment in clinical research. Please take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Thank you, APPNA platform, especially Sarfraz. Thank you for the introduction, Dr. Uzair. For the always help not only at the individual level to everyone, but as a collaborative effort, shows socially, morally, alhamdulillah. So today, I'm conscious of the time as well. So, anyway, if you have, like Sarfraz mentioned, questions, so we can post towards the end of the presentation. So my topic today is, the very interesting one, that Pakistan's clinical research landscape. And in that space, basically opportunities to use medical data for two important uses. One is the research and the other one is the monetization. So, okay, disclaimer, Sarfraz already spoke about, so I'll just quickly move over to the agenda. I will quickly introduce HiveWorx. I know, though it's not a commercial activity, just, as CEO of the HiveWorx, so I will just take few seconds later towards the slide, the slides. And after introduction, healthcare landscape of Pakistan, followed by the medical data opportunities for the research as well as for monetization. And towards the end, of course, we will have the collaborative discussion, where we will address the question and answer and other discussions. Introduction quickly. HiveWorx, we are a product house. We specialize in the healthcare products basically, and of course we have experience as an organization and individual in the technology implementations as well. So Alhamdulillah, we have covered three landscapes, primarily of the providers at the hospital level, public sector with NHS, European Union, health service executives, and then the peers models, peer organizations such as the insurance companies, AXA group, and then also we touched the academia as well. So basically we have worked with the whole ecosystem, and I'll be sharing few of my examples and the use cases as well. And the basically you see the objective. Okay, objective is end of the day, especially when it comes to Pakistan and of course everywhere, is that we need to provide a platform, collaborative efforts, so that we can all work together as team and make a success for our lovely country. And we, as an organization, we, since we are the data management company, so we hold experience from maturity assessment to data writing, the data strategies, the data warehousing, data engineering, business intelligence, data science, and other analytical and advanced analytical systems. So quickly, we have the full suite of the products for the healthcare, Alhamdulillah, and these are all native developed by, HiveWorx. And Alhamdulillah, this has been, published as the platform for, different different providers, basically. And one of the main product is Intelligent. It comes from intelligence. And this is a platform that holds the suite of the tools, basically, ranging from the governance toolkit to data management data management toolkits, including the very known data bank, and then the other AI tools for including data science and artificial intelligence tools and technologies, basically. So that was all in quick introduction. And coming, by the way, okay, coming to the Pakistan's healthcare landscape. I mean, I have taken the stats from APPNA, one of the research papers. So I'll just touch a few of these. Alhamdulillah, Pakistan is the fifth populous country with 241 million people, and we hold good stats of 14,000, healthcare facilities, including primary, secondary, and tertiary, in the public and the private sector, even though this is a smaller number as compared to what we could actually could have grown to more, basically. But anyway, 14,000, and we have a literacy rate of over 62%, in the country. And all, I mean, the basically different factors like diverse genetic, lifestyle, socio-economic, cultural, and environmental factors, play a vital role, basically, in these kinds of stats. And then, okay, so basically, if, quickly coming over to the clinical research, our topic, we know, I mean, and by the way, this already been covered in the other separate webinars as well. So I will just touch base this as a quickly that, the clinical research, it's a branch of the medical research that involves people and aims to determine the efficacy and safety of medications, devices, diagnostic products, and treatment regimens intended for improving human health. And two types we'll be covering, inshallah, later on towards our session. And as regards to the stats for our clinical trials, it's pity that we are standing, I mean, in the global market, just 0.1%. And I think that is a stat of a couple of years back. And of course, we have the potential actually to grow these stats. And alhamdulillah, the effort is already being going on. but let's see, inshallah, where do we stand it on. And there are few challenges actually posed in the market basically. And, since today's my topic is around data, so I will be basically try to cover, the data part of it. But let's start with the couple of these, a few of these challenges, inadequate infrastructure. And we know that, we have basically, so the infrastructure actually in the larger cities, bigger cities is available in in bigger hospitals and the chains, but it is missing somehow somewhere in the smaller cities. And especially actually when it comes to the technology part actually, and most of these, even the public sector and even the private sectors, some of these technology oriented systems are missing. I mean, and that is one of the reason actually that we are unable to, work on. I mean, we are unable to utilize the information basically. I mean, and the wisdom out of it. And these systems, I mean, are, these systems are database. Some of these database systems are missing somewhere, even if it is fully digitized. The analytical systems actually in the form of, complete EHR, single longitudinal patient record is very hard to find actually in most of the healthcare providers. So these are few of the technology challenges. Of course, we will inshallah cover this as we go along in the presentation. And then, limited resources, we have the shortage of the specialist basic skill resources for in the space of researchers and qualified assistants, support staffs. We have few CROs basically, and above all, actually, the technology resources is another challenge. A challenge basically as a country we are coming across. And the other one is the funding. Of course, just because of the pressing situation now, the fund for the clinical research, is very little available, and especially local players such as pharma industry is reluctant to invest in the trials basically. I mean, one of the reason I think is just because the drug pricing controlled by the government. But anyway, that is one of the reason actually why we are having this webinar, is that we want to basically highlight that, what can we get out of this data from to information, wisdom and knowledge basically. But anyway, so poor, and then quality is another issue. Then some are long lengthy regulatory processes involved, some monopolies. But anyway, alhamdulillah, I mean, government has been working on this, and we hope that we will inshallah cover, overcome these challenges. And of course, when there are the challenges, then it bring opportunities as well. And and we need to turn these challenges into the opportunities, and especially in the research and monetization. And both these topics basically we can do a lot basically. And like I mentioned, we have like a very good population size, and we are a very good candidate for data. Especially these developed and underdeveloped countries are very good candidate for the patient data and other data. And it's very easy to get the consent basically, like other countries. And I know I can share a few examples where lots of these pharmaceutical and international institutes are getting data from our providers, and even we were not aware actually were being used basically. So we have a good literacy rate. And we are Pakistan is very cost effective. I mean, I put here analysis comparison to the US. I mean, it's 90% we are cost effective. But if you compare with the developing and other developing countries, I mean, we are like 30 to 40% cost effective. Still, we are cost effective in that sense. And we hold, good numbers actually, pharmaceutical, pharmaceuticals operating in Pakistan. So basically all, I mean, and then for the opportunity actually come in this landscape is, with all these kinds of factors. We have four weathers, alhamdulillah, diverse population size, and then this and if we can utilize, basically we can utilize the data. And when I say the utilize the data, basically data is sitting everywhere, and even the structured data is 20%. I say structured data, for example, patient record for me, Muhammad Zubair Qureshi. But this data is sitting in silos and so many other challenges are there. So what we need to do is basically we need to come up with a single longitudinal patient record that should break the silos, that should be the single source of truth, that should be 360 information, and that should hold the historical information so that it can we can make use of the basically the trends, trends and the other hidden patterns for researchers and other audiences basically. Quickly, the second topic for is I will quickly just I'll scratch the surface, and later on inshallah I will talk about this in detail, is the healthcare data monetization. I mean, data monetization in simple words is a business capability where an organization can create and realize value from data assets. So I mean, when I call it a data asset, I always, I mean, mention that, the one of the what we say precious information or precious asset of organization is the data. Facebook, Google, we see all these, and this is all running on the information. And inshallah, we will see how data can be turned into the actionable insights for for this kind of research and monetization. So monetization, we will inshallah talk about that, how can we get direct internal and external benefits out of this when we monetize the data. But before we get to the monetization, of course, there are some steps which we will be talking about, inshallah, towards the later part of discussion. Anyway, so total global value for monetization is 3.5 billion as of 2023, with CAGR 16.6%, and 14.4 billion is this, it's going to be into 2032. So monetization, in order to get, in order to get to the value of the monetization, of course, we need to have a platform. We need to have an architecture where we can have this integration, processing, data governance, analytics, advanced analytics, AI should be enabled basically. And, for in order to get the better, data monetization. Anyway, now I move to the basically next step, and overall basically healthcare data value. By the way, in the previous slide, when I mentioned 3.5 billion, we please note that I'll be covering some internal and monetary benefit which organizations are not posting as we speak now, basically. But we have some references here, and we are talking like billions of internal cost savings basically, and in the form of social as well as economic values basically. But we will talk about this both economic and financial values. So okay, so healthcare data value basically, just this is the stat we have taken from ENY, a reference for one of the European Union, when a healthcare provider with 55 million patients. And interestingly, the stats are very amazing basically. And just imagine that we are already giving these monetization, these benefit to external operators basically, but internally we need yet to get benefit of it, but still unknowingly basically they're getting the data and getting a lot out of this. Anyway, so patient record is 120 per patient US dollars. And when you talk about the DNA sample, just imagine, the EHR, EMR data, EHR data, you may say, is 120. And when we just say for genome data, basically, that is aggregated capital from private equity firms and pharmaceutical especially, is estimated for 500 USD per DNA sample we are talking about. And if you talk about the patient record basically, and that lies somewhere between 1 to 5,000 USD. And then if there's a partnership between patient records, so combining the genome data and phenotypic data from patient records have been valued that much. So anyway, let's move to the digital enablement process. The enablement process is very simple. like we mentioned now, I mean, we spoke about the market in general, the importance basically of the data, and how do we basically get to this. There's a high level process, I have tried to put in here. I mean, being a technical CEO from coming from technical background, so I try not to be very, very technical. So I'm just trying to keep it extremely simple. So basically, the data is sitting in different forms and shapes. It comes as real time, it comes as near real time, it's come as streaming data. It comes in different forms and shapes. Basically, it comes as structure. It comes over 80% of data as unstructured in the form of audios, images, videos, and that basically, and then data is, just think of this data here as sitting as in silos basically. So and then this data basically, in order to unlock the power of healthcare data to fuel innovation in medical research and improve, patient care, we need to basically process this data that may be used for the analysis basically, but that could be used as operational analysis, or they may be the silos analysis basically. So what we need to do basically is that we need to combine, we need to integrate, we need to standardize this data basically, so that we can use this data, we used to use this data for the insights and other capabilities for the, at least I'm talking about this patient, so it should improve then the patient care and other and benefits we're talking about. So processing here, basically we process data, and then consumption. See, we're talking about two consumptions, so that's why I'll be more focused for the research and monetization, but we do the insight as well, that covers the operational insight. For example, what has happened, I mean, what is happening, what has happened, what is more likely to happen, and how can I make it happen my way, actionable intelligence. So, and of course, data governance is important pillar basically, that has to be, that has to be basically incorporated. Okay, so, moving over to the process of the data, data to, sorry, just see, okay, medical data opportunities. Like I mentioned earlier that, the data basically, is coming in different forms and shapes. Data is coming in audios, is electronic medical health record, EHR, it's coming in images, it's coming in the videos, it's coming in tapes. I mean, it's coming in each, I mean, different even structure and semi-structure and unstructured formats as well. So data is growing basically. Data is growing. I mean, just imagine that into, in 2025, we are talking about 100 over 160 zettabytes of data. So, like I mean, you said data is a corporate asset. And if we need to be data-driven organization or country, data is the new oil. And I heard somewhere, and I'm very much advocate of this, that data is the soil. So we need to use data as the fertile medium, basically, so that we can reuse it over and over, basically, in order to get to the oil refined, basically, to get fruits and others, for this data that, and data is growing. Of course, it's becoming an asset, and of course, it is now a strategic asset for organization. It's growing. New consumers are going. Basically, data is coming in volumes, and it's creating huge volumes basically. And the type, for example, like I mentioned, structure, unstructured, and so many types it's coming in. And of course, data centric regulations are getting stringent on the data itself. Okay, so the data basically disruption is underway. The healthcare industry pair have historical generated vast amount data, of course, so just imagine, like, every 24 months, electronic health records basically doubles, and it's 7.2 trillion, spending, with 10.6 of the global GDP, with over 150 plus available healthcare data in exabyte present today. And of the 90% of the world has been creating in the past 2 years. And most of data that is generated is basically unstructured data. And then data, of course, is coming in different forms and shape. Over 80%. Nowadays I call that over 92% data is unstructured. And still we have not reached to a stage even we can utilize for analysis and insight, even the structured data. I have performed recently 10 maturity assessments, and I was surprised that, these are the advanced countries I'm talking about, that even the structured data in the form of EHR wasn't just at the level 2 out of 5 or 3 out of 5. So anyway, we need to, and we are talking a lot of these challenges which we need to address, and the structure has a lot of information associated. For example, take the example of an image, basically an X-ray. That is an unstructured information. We need to store it somewhere. We need to get insight, metadata, and information, and then finally AI has to read that and predict and analyze. Okay, exactly what it means by, is it is it, for example, what we call it, recently what pandemic issues we had. So basically, is it the data for imaging actually what it constitute to, anyway, and since 75% of data is digital service anyway. So basically the process, when we come to the processes, high level process, we need to implement, of course, for the data. I'll just take you through quickly the process. And in that process, since we are talking about that data, and data is basically the key input as well as output and the driver itself at the same time. So data, just take this analogy, we talk about, for example, cake. So we have the baking soda, flour, eggs, and then we turn that into information. So basically, when we combine it, we mash it, and then we come up here, and then information is further basically processed and organized. It gets out to the knowledge. And when we have this knowledge, then we need to absorb, basically, we need to consume that knowledge. And that knowledge is where we are talking about that we have the analysis, we have the research and others, basically. I'll take this example of the patient. We have the, say, for example, here my name is Zubair, but Zubair is there, and there is, for example, it says fever. Now, when we process this, combine it, contextualize it, then I get to know, okay, yes, it's a patient. So Zubair is a patient, basically, and it has a diagnosis. And then we combine basically that information into knowledge and said, okay, it is talking about the patient record, basically. And then finally, analysis for that patient. And same here, same analogy, we're talking about data, and then it's combined, it's in information and then knowledge. And we need to reach to the wisdom level, basically, where world is basically going now. And that is the highest level where we are talking about the actionable and the auto mode, basically, where systems are running on auto mode, and it's all actionable, intelligence where it's being in. So, okay, so the data, I mean, simple, like I earlier mentioned, the enablement process is that so we have the data coming in different forms. These are the operational systems. And I give you an example of one operational system in the vendor we work for, a healthcare provider. They had 600 plus operational systems, basically, specializing operating theater, different system, EHR. They had the lab, different system, registries for patient, wait times, etc. Some information coming from the apps, paperless, social media, etc. So these are different types information coming in here. We ingest that information and store it, and then use that virtualization. And then finally, the objective basically of this, all this kind of data is, like I mentioned earlier, we need to come up with the trusted information, trusted and complete. So complete means the information sitting in form, some information here, some here, some here. We need to combine that as a longitudinal, basically, record. And I must say that we are talking about 360 view of the information, and in particular, in this case, patient, basically. So objective is here to process that data. Once we have that trusted and good quality assured data information, then we can use that for research, monetization, and other benefits. Okay, this is very high level platform. I will not touch this. I'll just skip it. But just to mention, operation system, and there's a process and there's a consumption. And I mean, just the reason why I put it here, basically, there is a process involved in there. There is an effort involved, basically. One of the problems I must share with you is I have come across in my implementation worldwide that AI applications, if we run on directly on the operating system or analysis, it slows down the operating system, but it doesn't give the complete full picture. So that is the reason why we are talking about that we need to have a data warehouse or data bank that is historical as well, that keeps history of the past 15 years, so that systems can learn over the period of time. They can predict, they can get the patterns out of that, and then bring the insight for the audiences, basically. That is objective. And then, of course, this system is a unified system, so that could be used for all these kind of applications, services, monetization, and etc. Okay. The data value process, since we talk about the platform, and then we talk the value, basically, you see, like I mentioned earlier, we need to explore the data. Like I always say that we have the information sitting, everywhere, and it's a matter of, actually, it's pity, that like I mentioned earlier, that even we are unable to get insight out of our structured information. So just imagine, how much value is basically sitting as a gold mine in our operational systems, basically. So we need to explore the data. We need to we need to understand, basically. In order to understand, that is the way I was talking about, that we need to basically process that data, and so that we can use that data for gain insight for the value, basically. So in order to get our benefits out of it for research and monetization, we need to get to this stage. I mean, we need to use, I mean, in order to use the data, of course, we need to understand and then process this data. So this is something, I mean, I'm calling it raw data for operational systems, and data even coming before the operational systems, basically. We clean it, we organize it, we mine it, we normalize it, and then we link those pieces of, basically, and then we scale that data, and then finally we use for feature engineering, analysis, and others, and then finally to solve our business problems. Okay. Now, now I will just touch the high level maturity levels. Basically, the hospitals, I mean, I have just brought this a very high level of this one. I mean, as a reference. Organizations have different maturity levels. HIMSS has the standards, basically, but I just wanted to keep it simple. So just imagine, actually, we're talking about, we have the manual operations, and we're going to the paperless operations. So just imagine the world like Pakistan, where, I mean, we're still in living the world where actually the public sector, I mean, hospitals are even sitting on this stage, actually. I mean, they're still in manual, only receipt actually you get, and that is digitalized, unfortunately. And just imagine how much treasure trove of any information is sitting there, just imagine. And even I've been to the private hospital, alhamdulillah, these private hospitals are digitized, but still a lot more we need to work on, actually, to bring these to a level where actually we can get it to monetization and research. So these are different MG levels we are talking about. And just imagine, actually, I'm talking level 3, where we have, it's paperless. So I have done the conducted service of 2 large hospital chains in Pakistan, alhamdulillah. I mean, they're doing very good, but they are paperless, and still there is room of improvement there. Just imagine that after paperless, there is a data management journey for good few years, actually, before we get to use the value of this. And then we need to get to a master patient record that earlier we were talking about, to process it. So basically, this is where we were talking about earlier, processing phase. And this is where actually we need to get to stage, ideally, that we should be able to get the monetization out of it, basically. And like, I mean, the framework, I mean, in order to get to the benefits, uses it in, use it effectively, the data management framework has to be implemented. And it starts with the strategic goals. So for example, in our case, take the example, if we have the goal of data research and monetization, we need to define this. We need to have a data strategy, actually. I tell you, 31 healthcare surveys I conducted in the past 6 months. I'm talking about the countries, I mean, in the Gulf, Pakistan, and the European. And I was surprised to know that 99% of these were missing data strategies. Just imagine. So basically, anyway, we have strategic goals. We need to have the strategy in place. Once strategy is there, we need to do the maturity assessment, basically, even before that, so that we know actually how should my roadmap look like, and then we finally go for implementation. And it's implementation by the team. Of course, you need technological people, you need the processes. Basically, this has to be automated. there has to be technology, and you need tool basically. So these artifacts of the technology must be implemented, in order to get to the values. And interesting thing I must share here, that I remember in 2009 I mentioned to one of the Saudi, he used to be CIO of the very renowned hospital. I must say that's one of the largest one in the, and very very technology, one of the technology, one of the leading technology hospital of the Asia. And when I mentioned data is new oil, and he said, Muhammad, please don't talk about this here. At that time, even they were talking about the data, the oil as a commodity. So just imagine, and he met me good 4 years ago, and he said, Muhammad, that time, 11 years ago, you were absolutely right. So what these organization now, this doing at the public sector, basically, they have mandated the data management framework, and they have to implement all these, technologies, in order to get use the benefit of the data, basically. So basically they need to have the strategy in place first thing. So take the example of Pakistan and the healthcare provider. We need to have a data strategy that should be aligned with IT and the corporate strategy. We need to have the data management organization, and our organization is comprised of these people. We need to have the processes automated so that we can automate and we can optimize these processes. And then of course we need to implement these technologies and using the cost effective tools, because implementing our data management in an organization involves not only specialized people skills, have the technology, and also, and it also cost basically. And of course that time is an important factor as well. Okay, so I will quickly skim through the value chain of the healthcare, where we plan to, we plan to drive, basically move the future of the care. Just imagine, that if we have the, earlier when you spoke about that, just imagine that we have the information of the patient and healthcare all digitized, and information is available for the, say for example, consumption. So just imagine actually the future of care for delivery, where artificial intelligence, kind of machine learning, big data, we use that for empower physicians, scientists, and patients alike with the latest and accurate clinical understanding in real time, basically. Just imagine, so the future of the patient, of course, just think, the patients now have the virtual reality, foster patient engagement for wearables and care coordination that transform disease management, basically future of healthcare operations. Just see actually that these healthcare operations, additive artificial intelligence transform operations, basic to optimize the supply chain and increasingly automate the workforce to maximize the efficiency as well. And of course the research, the world of the research, basically national languages understand the transform focus of research, for accommodating facilities to global networks, for connectivity, and of course collaborating with the collaborate among the scientists, basically. So future of the medical precision, that is basically where, just imagine that genomics and precision medical will take us into this part of, to have more precise, basically, treatments. And this is all basically available just because of the data. And then future of monetization, that is one of the important, I always add into my presentations, that we need to add monetization for internal benefit, but also for the monetary benefits as well, of these, and we could. And then driver for disruptions are all these, we can only, these all what we're talking about, the future of the care is possible with the these drivers, which are artificial intelligence, big data, others we need to incorporate. And then okay, so that was for the that was for the consumption part, and then we move quickly to the clinical research. And since until now, actually, we spoke about the the research, high level monetization, and the frameworks, basically, and what actually we need to get as an end result. for the insights, and that is basically the data itself we need to process, in an effective way, using these technologies and platforms. And now we talk about the challenges basically we come across for the for this data basically. So earlier we spoke about that, we need to have the trusted complete information, right? That is the ultimate objective. We need trusted complete information so that we are confident that, whatever we are analyzing is basically, is accurate and it's up to mark. So in the ideal world, basically, the patient would have a single record, if you come overcome all these challenges, and that record is digitally and centrally housed basically, for the data sets, so that, it breaks all these fragmentations, and it should be completely utilized for, consumptions basically. So data structures, it comes different types. We already spoke about, we need to break the silos. I mean, these are the challenges basically. Data is sitting in different silos. We need to first access the data. If you see the previous one of the slides I mentioned, we need first to access the data. We need to understand the data. We need to aggregate the data. We need to, we need to, integrate that information, standardize it, and, finally, in order to use for the, the benefits, basically, it has to be data governed. And finally, when data is there, should be in a form so that basically it should be interoperable with the international, external basically parties for exchange of information basically. And finally, it has to be secured as well. So all these basically security, privacy, is basically used by, governed by the data governance basically practices. And of course, we need to have the, data strategies in place, like earlier I talked about. And data strategy basically, of course, has to address all these challenges. And especially, one of the important, issue or challenge is basically the privacy and security. So CCPA, GDPR, these compliance and data should be de-identified, or it should be anonymized basically. But anyway, like we mentioned earlier, that, there is a process basically that we need to take in consideration. Okay, we mentioned healthcare data is basically the strategic asset. And, we need to, like I mentioned, unlock the power of healthcare data, to fuel innovation in the research and improved patient care. That is very important. We need to improve patient care. And what a benefit basically we can get out of this, of course. Some of these I'm just talking about here, how can we use basically, this we can get the use for the research, is through deeper disease understanding. I mean, all this is, like I said, disruptions, basically your big data that is basically holding and processing, and then AI, data machine learning, deep learning, and data science basically. So and then treatment effectiveness and safety. The quality of care should be improved basically, and outcomes, the clinical pathway efficiencies, and, operational and cost effectiveness as well, socioeconomic and impacts as well, and then reduce time to the market if we basically want to market our research and other artifacts. And then I move over too quickly to the monetization. We, like I said, I mean, basically the monetization, I just clear one thing. It, like the name depicts, monetization, monetary benefit, but it has got both benefits basically, economic benefit as well as financial benefit. So economic benefits are the internal benefits basically, what we can get out of this data. And I will also demonstrate the stats where organizations have saved billions basically, only 55 million patient cohort, just imagine. And then they have made some good money as well for, basically so we can launch. I mean, if we have this, for example, data, and by the way, we are, like I mentioned earlier, that we can only monetize when we have data available in the format it's important for research and monetization. That is one of the challenges basically. So many organizations come to Pakistan, and it's pity that they cannot take that, they cannot use that data because data management is not in practice there. That is, and getting operational data in its form is just nightmare to use. So anyway, the internal benefit we can get is basically benefit to the economy. We can have the operational efficiency. We can save the operational cost as well to the billions as well, and then of course improve outcomes, and then the monetary benefit, of course, is the revenue. We can basically monetize. We can sell the data to the healthcare providers, to the peers, to farmers for their clinical, their research, for institutes as well, and in collaborations as well. So anyway, and then for this monetization, I'll talk about highly quickly about the strategies, how we can basically monetize that data. Yeah, and by the way, I I have a couple of examples in mind. Basically, I remember two of the renowned institute from one of the Pakistan healthcare network are getting data and they're monetizing it. And when I spoke to the healthcare providers, they were not aware of that. And so basically, you know, we have information, right? And why can't we make that as the, okay, internal processes, we get the internal benefits, of course, that's fine. We can improve the outcomes, internal benefits, okay, economic, we can get it. But why can't we get the monetary benefits out of that? So, and why can't we the profit center? And we can do this by data sharing. Data sharing and collaborative net with and collaborative networks basically. So we can share the data, and when share data, we can sell it in simple plain words to research institutes, for commercial entities, so that of course we can gain some financial benefits as well. And of course, like I mentioned, all this is possible through this state of the art technologies, basically data analytics, AI, and when these are in practice. Then so second one is data as a service. If we have the data we have the platform, we can sell as a solution basically, this data monetization as a platform, and I will share the example later on in the slide as well. So we can offer that basically data as a service, and then we can license the products basically. Since we say, just imagine this, we have a platform, we have data there, and we can sell the patient. For example, we can monetize the patient data. We can have the products in the form. Say, for example, we have a bot. That is a product, end product. We can sell that. We can monetize that. Basically, we have the other sales channels as well, and then we need to leverage all through advanced analytics, data, and AI basically. Major beneficiaries, very interesting. The internal beneficiaries are are the basically marketing organizations, marketing organizations, research and development organization, the payers, basically supply chain management, workplace management organizations as well. So basically all these are the beneficiaries. And for external, of course, we know that there are research organizations should be definitely interested into the monetization, pharmaceuticals for their clinical trials, different providers basically, the providers, and of course and it's a big market for these providers, by the way. And payers, payers basically can of course get data for monetization, so that they can have their payment models and better options for patients, and other benefits they get. And of course, the digital healthcare startups, they can get out of this. Okay, so quickly, research and data monetization examples. Since I know I am just cautious of time, just 5-6 more minutes to go, so I'll try to wrap it quickly. Big data. Okay, so these are the technology we need to implement. Big data, for one of the healthcare organization we're talking about is the NHS. 2.7 billion per annum saving. We are doing for short term, that's the big data. And again, we are talking about that is when we have the implementation, when we spoke about this process diagram, in the process, this is where the data is basically kept. So big data then comes in the medium level, medium term benefit really is the artificial intelligence. And then where we need to reach basically is ultimate is personalized medicine, basically personalized medicine. And that is, so this is a long journey basically, that we need to cover. And just imagine actually that overall benefit for NHS is 4.5 billion internal saving. And imagine that, 5 billion total saving we're talking about is, and then monetization is separate. Give you an example of the, some of these examples is publicly available. GSK is, monetizing this genetic data with a company, and 5 years program was $300 million was basically they paid to that organization for this monetization with 5 million customers. Then Stanford University has a, they have the platform basically where they're selling the healthcare data, and one of the Pakistani healthcare providers also providing data, but not for commercial use. Then coming to this another one actually where evidence, real world evidence network, they are basically, they are basically using for RW use and saving just about 30 millions of implanted devices, and the surgical supplies basically. So the other example is, the BJP healthcare and university partnership, basically academia and this. And they are, the work they were doing for research in months, basically now they are doing in days rather. And other things like, 30 Bayer, actually Baylor College of Medicine has monetized this data. And the work there, 30 years of output was 28 new protein targets, and now they have produced 30 just because of this data in 30 days on the 6 basically. Just imagine that, how much time we save. So there are a lot more actually we can talk about the research and data, but and to I would say I would say that, we need to we need to work together, we need to collaborate, especially in Pakistan space. It is very crucial basically, that, we all need to join hands as healthcare professionals, researchers, pharma, even the public sector, public sector peers, even external bodies we need to invite so that they can invest, and more importantly the technologists basically, so that they can play their vital role and for the better patient care. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much, Zubair. That was a very comprehensive overview of what you do. If you can start sharing your slide, that would be great. And then I think quick comments from our panelists, Dr. Akhtar Hamid and Dr. Syed Uzair and Dr. Umar Hayat. I know there are a lot of questions and people are very interested. So I think let's get quick comments and then go to see if you can get some questions too.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Zubair Saab. It was a very knowledgeable, presentation in terms of data. I think I never heard the word data so many times in one presentation that I've heard this time. Secondly, I understand that you said about this data is a new oil or it's a soil, and to reach to your level will take maybe decades for our listener here, some of them. So how you use the word collaboration? So how you can help us in terms of collaborating with your team or with your company? So if our young researchers want to do some research, so will that be some possibility there or not?
Yes, of course. This is where I am very much inspired from Dr. Ozair. Alhamdulillah, my inspiration. And I tell you, I've always welcomed, since Dr. Ozair has connected me to the networks. Alhamdulillah, like I mentioned earlier, we have a platform. So let's just say that actually the platform that we need to jumpstart the platform, start with minimum $2 million. So what I'm trying to say here is that we have got a platform, alhamdulillah, that is already proven with these large scale organizations. So where we can help is basically that we, for the healthcare industry, we have out of the box solution. And I'm not talking commercially, basically. I mean, when it comes to this, CSR, so I would say, like, we have our platform is available. The researchers, the providers, peers, I mean, all you are welcome to start using the platform. And then the other thing is, like, okay, we need to small something. I know that our bigger market is public sector, but we start with private sector and we prove, and then inshallah we need to take to the bigger audience as well. But our platform is available, unconditional for any use.
Thank you.
Zubair sir, any
Thank you
comments?
very much, Sir Faraz. Yes, thank you very much, Zubair. I know you took a lot of time, you put a lot of effort to create all this thing. I was in touch with you for a few weeks. So APPNA platform and our participant and all of us, we are extremely grateful for such a wonderful future-looking opportunity and presentation. So there is a question for you from somebody. How is the confidentiality, consent, and other ethical issues taken care of, especially in the perspective of monetization? So can you tell us something about that?
Yes, absolutely, Dr. This is very good. Basically, like I mentioned, I just touched base this in the presentation as well. Basically, we ensure the basically person identifiable information is not basically what we say exposed. So we keep that anonymized, and using the data governance and some privacy and other tools, we ensure that that is not compromised, basically. So that privacy and security part is already there, which we ensure. Say, for example, we have been working on GDPR, CCPA. So these acts are already, been taken care.
Excellent. So may I request Dr. Umar to unmute, because he is very instrumental in bringing new technology, new trials to Pakistan, and he understands the value of this monetization and the pharmaceutical utilization of the data. So Dr. Umar, to you for comments or if any question.
Thank you very much, Dr. Uzair. I will really second what Dr. Uzair said. For me, it was a course, literally in 1 hour, about the data science. Coming to the monetization, I will just quote one example from one of the pharmaceutical company who is looking for Fabry, which is a genetic disease, a Fabry patient. Just to give you the idea, they have put the $1 million for one patient. So you can imagine, if you can identify one patient, what that will translate into when it comes to the monetization of the data. So many things. I mean, 5th largest country in terms of the population on Earth, 0.1% clinical trials, not justified. Prevalence of the disease, name it. We have the doctors everywhere, from small clinics to the big hospitals. If we can generate the data in a structured form, which can be processed and can be valuable. Quality is like, let me put it this way. We are talking about the infrastructure of the highways, etc. Now it's a time of the infrastructure for data.
Yes.
We will be selling the data. And
Yes.
I mean, there was nothing missing in this presentation in terms of the value of the data. So I think I will stop here and let Dr. Zed, it was a beautiful presentation. And that's how the future going to look like. The data is everything. And I will add one more sentence as well. The value of the data is really based on the quality of the data. Okay. And in pharma word, sorry, go ahead, Dr. Amit. I will stop here.
Finish.
So I will say in pharma word, we always say in the God we trust, and rest need to show the data. So the data is very important, but the validity of the data and quality of the data is even more important. If artificial intelligence is the future, the data is the blood supply to the artificial intelligence. So I will stop. Thank you.
I just want to make a comment here because I happen to be participated in different hospitals through some my work here as a research and development. And I have noticed that a lot of hospitals, especially some charity hospitals back in Pakistan, they claim that they are like a paperless hospital. They have all the information, but they do not have the structured way. When you ask them to, can you pull some data? So that's not properly done, or they are not properly saved, that you can pull those, all the information. Paperless hospital doesn't mean that you can scan everything and just throw it, but you don't know how to put them in a structure that you can use it, so that you can use it monetizing your thing. Like there are some cancer patients. There are few big hospitals in Pakistan, especially in Karachi, some huge data for renal, huge data for cancer patient, and huge data for infectious disease. But we are not saving in that way. So my question to you, Zubair, is that you probably also help to save those data, or you can go and help them to how to structure and how to make this platform, you can save it.
That's a very important question you put it, and the basically I came across the same issue. You see extraction, when we say the extraction in the process we've spoke about, basically we need to bring into standard format so that it should be ready for consumption. That is where our industry is lacking. Basically, one of the hospital I've been there mentioned the paperless hospital, but when it comes to bring the data together, there were challenges actually. So that's why I said that the platform has already extraction layer there, and it can automatically, using AI routines, basically can get and standardize through the target. This one. I give you another example. I met one of the doctor there, and there was a basically what we say, one of the argument going on that you need to enter all these 6 fields basically in the while using basically entering inputting the patient information. And doctor said, I can just put in the free text. It came to me and I said, okay doctor sir, what if I can process, give you this utility so that you don't need to put in the 5 fields. It's going to save you good 30 seconds. How many more patients you can see? He said, on a day maybe more than 5 patients I can see more. That is the value basically. So the paperless doesn't mean I agree to a second use. It doesn't mean that actually we have reached to a level. Basically, the level is coming far further than that, where we need to extract. And so basically, in the platform, we have the routines covering all these kinds of data, structure, unstructured, social media, and etc. And by the way, we're working.
You're very welcome to come to Canada or use one of our group of doctors to help us to how to secure our data, even our practice data, so we can use it for research and training in future even. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I think I just need to interrupt because we already like few minutes over, and we usually try to finish this on time. So Zubair, if you have any final comments, please make them, and then I think we have some more questions, but that probably have to be done offline.
All right. Final comment is, I'm like I said earlier, one of the providers I've been to in Pakistan with good patient, millions of cohort, and I said, please realize the importance of the data, the wisdom, basically the Autobot. We need to leverage where world is heading towards for AI, and when we talk about ChatGPT and all this, the data is basically fuel to that. So I say, please understand the importance of technology and investment we need to bring in there. So we all need to work together. Inshallah, we can work together. We all need to work together, and we are available. I'm always available in any capacity and form to help in any form. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much for your time, and it was a very enlightening and enriching topic for all of us, and I can definitely see from the enthusiasm of the participants that they're asking questions and everyone is excited. It's a new avenue for all of us. So thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule on behalf of APPNA MERIT. Inshallah, we'll stay in touch and probably bring you back again sometime later. And to all the participants, thank you so much for joining, and we will come back again in another 2 weeks with yet another in the series of these webinars. So stay tuned, and we will see you back in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Dr. Uzair. Good find.